Hello and welcome. We're all living in this digital world, just swimming in information. But have you ever stopped and wondered how it all actually works? Well, today, we're going to peel back the layers on the basic building blocks that power pretty much everything, from the apps on your phone to your online bank account. So, let's get right into it.
Just think about it for a second. How does your favorite food app or your music streaming service just know what you like? How does it remember what you did last time? I'll tell you, it's not magic. It's all about how these systems handle a few very important concepts, and we're going to break them all down.
All right, so let's start right at the very beginning. Before anything can become useful, before it can become something we can actually act on, it starts its life as a simple, raw fact. And that brings us to our first big word, data. The easiest way to think about data is like random ingredients on a kitchen counter. A single number, a word, a symbol. By itself, each little piece is just a raw, unprocessed fact. And the important part is, without a recipe to put it all together, it's pretty much meaningless.
For example, look at the number 25. What does that even mean? Is it someone's age? Is it the temperature? Or take the word apple. Are we talking about the fruit you eat or the giant tech company? You see, without any context around them, these are all just separate bits of data, just floating around with no real purpose.
So, if data is just this big jumble of disconnected facts, how in the world do we make it useful? Well, that brings us to the next and honestly the most important step. This is where we start to create some meaning.
And that meaningful data, that's what we call information. It's what happens when you take all that raw data, you organize it, you give it some context, and suddenly it transforms into something you can actually use to understand things and, you guessed it, make decisions. And this is where it all clicks. Look at the difference. On one side, you've got data, the raw, unorganized facts. It's just the input with no real purpose on its own. It's like a bunch of individual random words. But on the other side, you have information. That's the output, what you get after you process the data. It's meaningful, and its whole job is to help us make decisions. Those random words have now been turned into a complete, understandable sentence. Let me show you a really simple example. Here's a number. 95. That's it. Just 95. What is it? A person's age? A test score? Maybe a price? By itself, it's just data. It tells us absolutely nothing.
But now, watch what happens when we give it some context. Ollie scored the highest with 95 marks. See? Instantly, that meaningless number becomes powerful information. Now we know who, we know what, and we know how it compares to others. That right there is the transformation in action.
Okay, so we have data, and we know we can turn it into useful information. But how do we manage all of it? Where do we store it? How do we keep it organized and get it back when we need it? For that, we need a special kind of system, a sort of ultimate organizer.
You see, the goal of a system like this is actually pretty straightforward. It's got a four-step job. First, it takes in all the raw data. Second, it arranges that data and puts it into a meaningful context. Third, it gives us the tools we need to analyze all that information. And finally, all of that work helps us generate real knowledge so we can make smarter decisions.
And there's a name for this amazing system that's designed to do exactly all of this. It's called a database. It's the engine that takes all those countless random facts and figures and turns them into something structured, meaningful, and incredibly useful.
Now you might be thinking, okay, this sounds very technical. But the truth is, you interact with databases every single day, probably without even realizing it. They really are the hidden engine that powers so much of our modern world.
Think about it. Every time you shop online, there's a database in the background keeping track of all the products. When you check your bank account, a database is managing every single transaction perfectly. Your social media feed? Oh yeah, that's all organized and delivered to you by a massive database. From your health records to booking a flight, these systems are working quietly behind the scenes, making our modern lives possible.
And just like that, it all comes full circle. What starts as a simple, meaningless number like 95 ends up as part of a powerful, organized system that basically runs our world. So now that you know the secret, where else will you start to notice these hidden databases at work in your daily life?